Hello, this is Mary Collar-Dida, and we're looking at how to know God's will. We know His will through His Word, and His Word He plants in us. But we also pray to Him. Knowing His Word is knowing about Him and what He says. But when we pray, we're having a relationship with Him. And then He enlightens our hearts and our spirits and our mind to know Him and to know that He knows us. Today we're looking at 1 Samuel chapter 2, verses 2, and then verses 6 through 8. Now this is the prayer, or part of the prayer of Hannah. Hannah was, the story of Hannah is that she had gone to the temple to pray because she was barren. And back then, women desired deeply to have children. It was their identity. And barrenness in women was oftentimes something of deep mourning, not just concern, but deep grieving between a woman and the Lord. So, I know of Sarah, and there was Hannah, there was Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist. So it's probably more, I can't think of them. But Hannah was told by the prophet, I think it was Elijah, that next year she'd have a son. And then she gave up her son, who was Samuel, to the Lord. But here's her prayer. There is no Holy One like the Lord. There is no rock like our God. The Lord puts to death and gives life. He casts down to the grave and raises up again. The Lord makes poor and makes rich. He humbles, He also exalts. He raises up the poor out of the dust. He raises the needy from the ash heap, to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and He has set the world upon them. So Hannah is exalting God as being the one who has control of everything. He is the rock. You know, Jesus says He was the rock of our salvation, a firm foundation. There's no one like the Lord. There is no other Lord. There is no other God. There's only one who is the controller and the creator, who makes something out of nothing, who speaks things into existence. And what does He do? He puts to death. Remember that in prayer, she is having this relationship with God, and she's telling God, this is who you are. And if this is who you are, this is also what your will is. You put to death and you give life. Well, we know it is appointed unto man to die. But He also gives life. We are formed in the womb. We are knit together. Each one of us has a purpose and is created by God to live in this world. He He says he casts down to the grave, but he raises up again. He raised Lazarus. God raised Jesus from the dead. Gave Jesus victory over death and sin and over all the powers of the evil one. And so he gives life, and we will be raised with him. Our bodies will come up out of the grave. He makes poor and he makes rich. He humbles and he also exalts. The Lord makes poor, yeah, and he makes rich. Wealth, physical wealth, material wealth is in the hands of the Lord. But he says, those who are poor in spirit are rich in the Lord. And the Lord tells us, Jesus tells us, don't worry about what we eat, what we drink, what we wear. All of it is the Lord's. If you're struggling with any of that, say, Lord, you promised that if I am poor, you will make me rich. Now, we're not going to be rich. Now, maybe some people will be wealthy, rich, but rich in the sense that we have all we need. Not only all that we need, but the ability to be generous, because he wants us to be generous with what we have. Because you give, he'll give it to you. It's his promise. The Lord makes poor and makes rich. He humbles and he also exalts. Humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and he will exalt you in due time. Being humble, not being proud and arrogant, not saying, it is by my hand I have done this, but we say, if the Lord is willing, we shall do this. For the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. I think Job said that. It's a truth. It's a truth in who the nature of God is. So we can know that if we are poor and if we are humble, we're in a good place, because he'll lift us up. He'll make us rich. He'll give us everything we need, both in this life and in the life to come. Or we should say it the other way, in the life to come, but also in this life. And then he says, he raises up the poor out of the dust. He raises the needy from the ash heap, to set them among princes and to make them inherit the throne of glory. He does that. He will set you among princes. Think of Moses. Moses was, I don't know what the circumstance of his family was, but we know that he was born at a time that everyone, all little babies and boys were being killed, and Lord raised him up, and then he humbled him, raised him up, put him in Pharaoh's court for 40 years, and then humbled him in the wilderness for 40 years. It's a good thing. It's always a good thing. Some of us are humbled first, and then we're exalted, and then we're humbled. It is all good. So I think about this. I think about this in terms of life circumstances. It says he raises us up and sets us among princes. If we are humble, whatever station he has given us up in life, he will raise us up. Sometimes he will set us among princes. We never know. But what we do is we glory in the Lord. But he can do that. And sometimes that is exactly his purpose. Think about Daniel and some of his friends. They were raised up. Joseph, my goodness, here's another one. Joseph, you know, he was kind of humbled when he was thrown. His brothers didn't like him, and he didn't quite understand why. But that's another story. But he was raised up, wasn't he? Raised up eventually to be second in Egypt, the most powerful nation at that time in that world. So trust in the Lord in whatever circumstance you are. Be humble before Him. Know that He, the Lord, has set you in that place for His purpose. His purpose is always to have relationship with us. I like this. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord, and He has set the world upon them. This world is the Lord's. Even though there's evil out there, and He allows the evil, it is the Lord's. And one day He'll take it back, and we will see it. Thank you for watching. Always pray. Meditate on the word of the Lord and pray and put it in your heart, His word. And listen to Him. Be still before the Lord and listen to His voice. Ask Him, how can I be poor in spirit? How can I be poor materially, but rich in you? Thank you for watching.